Happy Friday, December 16th. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Game Bites, the world's greatest gaming podcast. Again, I will make that claim in perpetuity. I can't say that word until I get sued. Everyone who follows the show or knows the show, what we're going to do for you this week. Well, typically I am joined by my guest, Alex, lover of Naratu McConnell, but he's out getting married again. So typically what we do, him and I get together, we talk about the latest gaming news of the week, bring you through what's happening, try to use whatever expertise I may have within the space, as well as his perspective as a gaming enthusiast, to talk through everything that's happening on that week. And then we talk about the games we're playing, any new releases, things that we're excited for. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch the show live on YouTube every Friday. Today's December 16th. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Within 24 hours, you'll also be able to find the audio version where podcasts are commonly consumed, being Apple and Spotify. Again, if you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe and sit back and enjoy the show. Feel free to chat. If I don't get to your chat responses during the show, I'll get to them near the end. All right. With that being said, talking about Game Bites through the week, what's been happening. Is my audio on? It is on. Okay, cool. So, what's been happening this week? So first and foremost, lots of interesting things happening. You know, the other week we talked about the video game awards, and like 30 to 40 game announcements that happened at that point. So last episode we sat through, talked about some of our most favorite announcements, but this one, a lot of news related to 2023 and what's to come. So just kind of kicking through the list. First and foremost, there was a new trailer for the Enter the Spider-Verse sequel. So that's the sequel, the animated hit featuring Miles Morales. And Sony, alongside that, did give us some more information on the next game. So it was kind of cool. In the new trailer, you did see the PS4, Sony PlayStation, and Insomniac iteration of Spider-Man in the new trailer. But on top of that, they did come out and confirm that Spider-Man 2 will have a release date of fall 2023. That's still kind of a vague window. To be honest, it does give you room to potentially shift if you need to. But at the same time, it seems to be that Insomniac and Sony are pretty committed on the Game Mess Morning podcast this week. And some insider knowledge was talking about past discussions that happened at Sony, where they talked about, you know, if Sony does release Spider-Man 2023, and everyone was kind of like, no, it's happening. So Insomniac has that game. They also have the standalone Wolverine game that's being produced by the leads on the Miles Morales project. But I'm excited. You know, I'm playing through Miles Morales right now, and I'll talk about that more near the end here. It definitely seems like they learned a lot with that game versus the PS4 release of Spider-Man game. So I'm hoping they do new things, because at some point there is just a parity and similarity with those two games. And there's a danger with open world fatigue, in my opinion, even though playing those games are incredibly fun. I think what makes these games stand apart, though, from just other common open world games is the superb storytelling. And I can't imagine you're going to get anything less with this new sequel, again, featuring Venom. So right away, I am sold. I was a symbiote fanboy since they brought those people into the universe. So looking forward to that. In terms of other next-gen items, or again, I think Spider-Man 2 is a next-gen solo, so it's only going to be on the PS5, which I think is good news too. You can definitely tell when a game's been made for multiple platforms spanning multiple timelines. But speaking onward with that next gen idea, The Witcher 3. It's a game many of you have probably played, and if you have played, I'm curious to hear your thoughts down below. But The Witcher 3 did finally get its next gen update for PC and console, so PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series line of hardware. This Wednesday, December 14th, Witcher 3 Next Gen patch came out, and it was a free upgrade patch if you're on PlayStation. I think it was kind of on the same for the Series X to Series S. And I only differentiate because I feel like there's been a delineation where Sony, you've had to pay for an upgrade perhaps at some times, where Xbox seems to have positioned you with it. Depends. Sometimes I think Control was an example where the upgrade wasn't free no matter where you were. Either way, that upgrade came out. So on PC as well, I think the PC version is just a DirectX 12 version of the game. And it touts everything from better visuals, utilization of ray tracing, some new conquests or side quests, I should say, related to the TV show that came out with Henry Cavill, Superman, that guy. Yeah. So new content and just overall improvements to the fidelity of the experience. I'm looking to try it out. You know, Witcher 3 is a game I probably put 20 hours in. and I only spent time on the first island because I wanted to complete everything. That being said, after you do that and you realize how much time that would take, you quickly shy away from that strategy. So I think I'm going to go back and try it, maybe on the PS5 since I finally got one. It might be a really fun experience. I enjoyed the books. I think those books are solid. I've never watched a TV show, but let me know. Are you excited about this? Are you trying it? Again, it's a free upgrade. I will say that the team at CD Projekt Red is actively working on at least 4 main issues or so they identified. One, PC crashes. That's been happening for people utilizing the game on PC, along with people using Intel GPUs, which I don't know how popular they are, but I know Intel's been pushing into that space where they're making their own GPU cards of late. And people that have been utilizing those have been experiencing low ray tracing ability, which to me, yeah, that's a bummer if it's supposed to be a fully fully optimized card that can do ray tracing, but it's not working as well. But ultimately, ray tracing's not a big mover for me. I mean, it's cool to see from a experience perspective, but when it comes to gameplay, I tend to favor the performance. I got a 3090 RTX, and I still play on performance mode. I'd rather have high frame rate and stability than, ooh, look at the light. So we'll go with that. Those 2 items, if you're playing on the Origin launcher, which I believe is CD Projekt Red's launcher, there's some update issues where some people aren't able to actually download the latest version, which is a bummer for sure. So that's something they're looking into. And then finally, if you're playing on PS5, some of you who are in certain regions, I'm not sure who exactly, are unable to download certain expansions with the new next-gen version. So certain aspects of the next-gen game are not able to, I imagine, just download the next-gen version of the expansion, which I think is that Iron and Wine or Blood and Wine is the expansion for that game. Probably considered one of the better examples of a game expansion that's come out in the last 5 or 6 years. It would be a bummer if you can't play that. So those are the 4 items they're working on, I'm sure, along with many other patches. Let's be honest, it's software, it's tricky. So more to come with that. In additional news, kind of sticking with Sony games, we started off with Spider-Man 2. Guerrilla. So Guerrilla, originally makers of Killzone, hopefully the Halo killer. Maybe Sony wishes it was the Call of Duty killer as well, am I right? Anyways, that being said, Guerrilla has confirmed Horizon Zero Dawn is getting its own online co-op game in the future. They're hiring right now. There's been job postings about it. There's about 17 to 18 jobs. They're looking for people to create this new online shared experience. Not a lot has been said about it, but it kind of interests me. I mean, what do you all think? Is it a game you'd be interested in? I mean, MMOs and large online multiplayer games are at some point reaching an apex right now, and you still have the classic players here, like World of Warcraft and all of that. I appreciate Guerrilla wanting to do more with the franchise, right? I mean, they announced the new DLC for the sequel, Forbidden West, which I haven't played. I'm hoping to play over the holiday break. That's exciting. For the PSVR 2, they're launching an exclusive VR experience related to Horizon Zero Dawn. So they're trying to do as much as they can with this franchise. I think the franchise has legs to do that. Is it enough for me to want to buy a PSVR 2? No, not necessarily, but I have a Quest 2, and I could plug that into my PC, and I can get a lot out of it. Is it enough for me to want to try an MMO experience? Maybe if it's free to play if you're a PS Plus subscriber, right? So I'm sure they're thinking of ways to incorporate this game into an ecosystem where they can already guarantee so many amount of people can play it who would be familiar with the mainline games. And let's be honest, it's an online game. There's probably going to be monetization in some sense or another. I mean, you just have to, typically, most of the time, if you want to maintain servers, right? So interesting news there. Looking forward to it. Talking about online monetization, though, I'm really proud of this transition. For those familiar with the long history with Apple and Epic and the battle that ensued so many summers ago with the lawsuit and Epic proclaiming that Apple has a monopoly on, putting anything on their store and 30% of the cuts going to Apple and all that, it does seem, thanks to some very beneficial lawsuits in the EU, that Apple might have to acquiesce to the EU regulation. They already had to do that with the USB-C in their Thunderbird or Thunderport chargers. But it looks like Apple is getting ready to allow third-party app stores and sideloading on the iOS. This comes with pros and cons. Apple's argument has always been, hey, we keep a maintained closed environment that guarantees our security and stability patches to be up to snuff when it says it does what we say it does. I get that. If you're an Apple fan, I will always say what Apple does well is they have a great environment. But if you want to interact with anything outside of that environment, that's when the experience does truly start to fall apart. That being said, this is possibly a win-win. I had an Apple. I now have this guy. It's an Android. Just broke it. No, I'm kidding. But for example, when Xbox Game Pass launched on mobile experience products, mobile phones, excuse me, you could do cloud gaming on an Android right in the Game Pass app. You just open the Game Pass app. You can see, hey, this game not only is great on streaming to your phone, but this game's optimized for touch controls as well. It's such a seamless experience. On an Apple phone, the Xbox Game Pass was only, able to allow you to download games to your hardware. And if you wanted to do the cloud gaming, you had to use a different browser and play through the browser. So Microsoft is actually looking into its own gaming platform for mobile phones. That's interesting to me. But this is also something to do with Epic and Fortnite, and a lot of other products might take advantage of this. So that's exciting to me. I think, again, it's an example of smart legislative action from a regulatory body to just frankly improve experience. But going along with that, I'm sure we talked about this last week, but the Microsoft side of things, I mentioned how their main desire to acquire someone like Activision has constantly been elevated as, hey, we want a game like Candy Crush so we could actually make our own gaming store and put that on there, get people to go to it. The EU opened a lawsuit. Oh, they're investigating. The FTC has now opened a lawsuit. So the whole other side of it is this type of example. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, right? Is Microsoft and Activision going to get through this merger? It's one of the largest mergers of all time. It's $69 billion. That shouldn't just happen with, no second thought. So I get why people are looking into it for sure. I will say that the main argument Sony's been putting out there as for why they don't want it to happen is, Call of Duty potentially being on Game Pass, which would allow people to say, hey, I only play 1 or 2 games a year anyways, Madden and Call of Duty, looking at myself. Kidding. That being said, why would I get it on PlayStation when I could just get it for free on an Xbox? Well, as the arguments have happened over the last few months, and as we've learned, that one, Sony has an agreement in place where Call of Duty can't go on another service like Game Pass. I get it. That makes sense. But on top of that, Microsoft has recently claimed that they have guaranteed Sony the right to put Call of Duty on their PS Plus subscription service. So that's like their competitor to Game Pass. It's interesting because, again, this is all going to happen in court now. A lot of lawyers are going to get paid, and those people will be happy. But it does seem like the main arguments that Sony's raising, Microsoft saying, hey, we don't care. You can have Call of Duty. We want all these other things. Frankly, we care more about that than Call of Duty. We're going to move forward with that way. So, okay. So another example, we're not sure what's going to happen. But again, it's a huge, huge acquisition. I get why these regulatory bodies are looking into it. It makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that's what's happening with Apple, Microsoft, and Activision. Sony as well. In other news related to the PC space, we all know World of Warcraft. It's a game that really changed the way people look at MMOs, and World of Warcraft's been singing successes for decades now. In of recent times, Blizzard in general struggled with a lot of their main IPs. Diablo 3 is loved by many, but also hated by many too. And as someone who's finally played Diablo 2 and more classic Diablo experiences, I get and understand why the game changed, and I can see that there's a difference. That being said, Plutarch, what are you doing? What are you doing under there? There's a lot of cables under there, buddy. My dog's playing. That being said, all right, you're gonna keep moving. Okay, yeah. For those watching or listening on audio, you won't be able to see, but my dog's underneath me. That being said, World of Warcraft itself has struggled with recent expansions. Over the years, the expansions have come to kind of dud experiences. A lot of people that are longtime players at one point actually transitioned, but from WoW to Final Fantasy XIV. A game that is, in all intents and purposes, worth looking into if you're a Final Fantasy fan of RPGs, or a fan of MMOs. You get them all combined with that game. But with the new game, Dragonflight DLC that came out recently, people seem to be really excited about it because from what I've heard from other sources, is that in a lot of the more recent DLCs for World of Warcraft, they tried to make the stakes really high. Every single DLC, the world's ending. Every single DLC's characters were the chosen ones, right? And at a certain point, it kind of just diminishes what you're doing and why you're doing it. And from what I understand with this new DLC, it's very much like, hey, let's go on this quest and get some dragons, and drink some beer, which I'm adding that part, but that's how I imagine World of Warcraft is best played. So people were excited about that. And I think a recent move by Blizzard is going to get long-term Warcraft fans even more excited. A man named Chris Metzen, who's worked on the Warcraft IP since 1994, so this is probably around the time of Warcraft 2, retired after 23 years in 2016, has just been announced as returning to take a large leading role in Blizzard to the Warcraft IP. So this is exciting for people, right? I think it's probably needed to guarantee some stability with fans, because Blizzard is now saying, hey, we want to understand that magic even better, because right, companies don't make games, people make games, and they work for the company. And when those people leave, then you lose a lot of that experience. My wife's not locked out. I don't think she is. Anyway, so Chris Metzen's coming back again, 23-year vet at Blizzard, had a lot to do with the original games. That does mean that World of Warcraft probably isn't going anywhere soon. I still believe you'll eventually see this game hit console, especially on Xbox once this merger happens. That's where I'm leaning. I think Final Fantasy XIV proved that a MMORPG can work on console, and I think a game like WoW somehow coming to your mobile phone and your consoles is only going to boost subscribers, and they probably want to make sure there's some solid content along with that. So I'm guessing that's some type of strategy that's in the works, but hey, they might have to pivot depending on whatever happens with the Activision merger too. So exciting news there. Looking forward to it. WoW's a game I wish I had more time to play, but I barely have time to play the games I do play. So what else is happening in the world of gaming news? Well, this was announced at the VGAs the other week, but From Software has officially announced their sequel to the Armored Core franchise, Armored Core 6, which again, they've made all the other Armored Cores. And the last one, Armored Core 5, I believe, released in 2012, right before From Software really took off with their genre-defining Soulsborne games, right? Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Game of the Year, right? I mean, From Software, as we know it as a household name, is a different company than when it was only focusing on Armored Core. So two things to come out of that. One, Armored Core 6 is just by nature probably going to be their best-selling Armored Core game of all time. From Software has a lot more clout, right? A lot more marketing power. So people who like the Souls games are going to be like, oh, let me check this out, right? That being said, the director behind the game did come out this week and say, hey, just so you know, this is not going to be a sci-fi Souls-like, right? We're obviously going to take any solid learnings we've gained over the years from our experience with the Souls games, but we're not trying to make this a Dark Souls version of Armored Core. This is going to be an Armored Core game. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Armored Core is known for its very Armored Core specific mechanics, right? It is a fast-paced, very fast-paced, yet challenging mech game. And they want to stick to that. So the director out there is just kind of setting the level, saying, hey, just to have your expectations solid, right? Now, will that permeate and will everyone have the right expectations when it comes to this game? No, let's be honest. I mean, marketing is going to do what marketing does. People are going to have their own expectations whenever they see something like From Software on the label. It's just a matter of human nature. But I mean, we're hearing it here first from the guy who's making the game. This is Armored Core 6 and not Dark Souls 4 Armored Core Edition. So I still want to check it out. I don't know, any of you out there, are you fans of the Armored Core franchise? Are you fans of mech games in general? Are you desiring a mech game? I am. I'm going to check this out. I think this is one of those games that people on PC get really intense with, like certain type of rigs and all that. So should be interesting to see what type of content creation comes out of it. But more to come. I think it is slated for a 2023 release. As we know right now, it's been in the works for a while. So that should be a 2023 launch for From Software. No news, though, on other games related to any of their other franchises yet. Speaking of new news, though, Vampire Survivors, my opinion, the best game to play on Steam Deck of 2022, did have a DLC come out this past week. So the DLC, I think, adds like 9 new characters, a bunch of new levels, a bunch of new experiences and weapons to work with. Vampire Survivors is a game that really blew up late 2021, early 2022 from a content creator perspective. It was very popular on Twitch. It was only available on Steam in early access, and now it was like $3. So it was kind of like a no-brainer for a lot of people to play it. Recently, it's finally hit the mobile phone, so because of that, on your mobile phone stores, you can download it. It's extremely popular, naturally, via those channels, and on top of that, it's been on Game Pass for a few weeks as well, so you can get it on Game Pass PC or Game Pass on your Xbox console. If you haven't tried this game out, I recommend it. I covered a different game on my YouTube channel a few weeks ago. Vampire Survivors in its own way is kind of burrowing its own way into a new genre. It's a really fun game, and it's one of those games that I could play for like 30 minutes, depending on how strong my run is, maybe an hour or more before I go to bed at night. So I recommend checking it out if you haven't already. It's an impressive game from a development perspective. I think it was only made in Java, which is not common for game development. So again, new DLC. I think the DLC is probably like $2.99, $3.99 or something like that. If you're a fan of the game, check it out. It is available on PC and Xbox right now, not on mobile phones. So more to come with that, though. I'm sure it will hit mobile phones quickly, especially with how popular that game is now globally. Speaking of new game releases, though, Mega Man Battle Network, a game I have not played. In my personal history, I've always viewed it as the Mega Man game I didn't want to play, but that was when I was young. That was when I was immature. That's when the only RPG I cared about was Pokemon. And now my wife's making that sound. Hold on. 1 second. Well, edit that out whenever we go with the live VOD review and for the audio. Just making sure my wife was okay. Anyways, yeah, Pokemon. So I was young. I was immature. Pokemon was the only RPG I cared about. And if there was any other RPG like Final Fantasy that I played and I couldn't just hack and slash people, I wanted nothing to do with it. So naturally, Mega Man to me was a game where I went around and shot robots, and Mega Man Battle Network seemed like a slower version of anything I would ever enjoy. But I like that they've recently done all these legacy collections. And recently, I think the last one they did was the Mega Man Zero collection, which was a great game on the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. They released, I think, 4 or 5. I think there was DS games they didn't touch yet. But this one has confirmed, I think, all the way through 1 through 6. And I think at the Mega Man Battle Network 4 section, they started to do a very Pokemon Red Blue type of idea, where you get the red version, I get the blue version type of concept. But that game has been announced officially with a release date for April 14th, Switch, PlayStation 4, and Steam. Now, in a weird thing, the digital version will have 2 separate volumes, which I do believe for most consoles for all the past Mega Man Legacy collections, they split it into 2 volumes as well, at least with X on the Switch. And the original Mega Man as well. There was a Volume 1 and a Volume 2, unless you bought the Japanese version. It was Rockman, which I thought was always really cool. I could go into a weird diatribe where I used to spend years, well, not years, but hours as a kid on these Japanese sites trying to buy Rockman model kits, but I won't go down that road. Anyways, the physical, though, will bundle them together. So if you're buying it on PlayStation or Switch, you'll get for the you'll get 2 for 1, right? And I do imagine the Switch version will have half the game requiring download, because that's been the case with those games so far, and I don't see why they would have. Hey, we finally figured out how to get more on these carts. So, I mean, I know of one person online in the Discord that's a big fan of these games. Have you played these games? I'll check them out now. Doesn't mean I'll be able to put a lot of time into them, but I am curious. You know, I'm leaning Switch over Steam just for the physical aspect, but who knows? I'll probably get achievements if I play in the Steam Deck, and weirdly enough, that matters to me. So more to come there. Speaking with Steam, though, Steam for a while now has had the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters for quite a few years now, from my understanding. Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, they're games that have had an interesting history. Originally announced in the mid-2010s, but exclusive to mobile phones, so people were kind of like, yay! What? Why? Who would want that? But they did that. Square did that. But after they came out too, there was issues with font and all these other aspects that have seemed to be finally polished out. Well, there was a release from a ratings board that seems to confirm that these games are now also coming to Switch and PlayStation 4. So it's been a while since you've played Final Fantasy 1 through 6, which naturally, it's been a while for most of you, unless you're a hardcore Final Fantasy fan, which to that, I give you credit. For me, I've really only gone back and played 7, and I've enjoyed 7, but they don't need to do a remaster of that yet. Well, I take that back. They did a remaster, but it wasn't a pixel remaster. Or for that to come here later on in the show. Those games, though, nothing on a release date quite yet. We might get more news at some point, but as of now, it is what it is. Just wait and put your ears to the ground and listen. Listen to the winds. Speaking of Final Fantasy, though, and this is something that might appeal to a few people or might appeal to no people, Nintendo has come out and confirmed. Ooh, Yeah, January 13th, as it appeals to me. So Nintendo has promised that every single character that comes out in the new Smash Brothers game will get its own amiibo. Some of those characters have already had amiibos from the Wii U version of the last Smash Brothers. But anyone that's been new, they're adding them to the line, right? So 3 characters remain, right? Kazuha, Sephiroth, and gosh darn it, I can't call myself a game fan if I don't know the guy's name from Kingdom Hearts. Y'all should yell at me. Something's wrong with my brain. Sora, my gosh, maybe my brain's protecting me from wanting to know that. Sora! Sorry, Kingdom Hearts fan, Sora. So yeah, all 3 of those characters are still remaining to get their amiibo form. But the other day, Nintendo did come out and confirm that January 13th, right after the holidays, get ready to spend some more money. Sephiroth and Kazuha are coming out in amiibo format on January 13th. Oh, and actually, I take that back. There's 3 more after those 2. Kira and Mithra, which are characters from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3, I believe, are coming out in 2023. And then lastly, Sora, which has been confirmed will get its own amiibo, will have to come out at some point too. So some fun Final Fantasy VII news. I know some people, a man named Peter Pitoni, as Yugen's calling out in the chat, who's a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy and anything to do with anime. Let's be honest. He's going to be very disappointed. Effie, stop licking that. Anyways, so January 13th, I'll be honest, you could see some amiibos behind me. There was a point of me that was like at one point wanting to collect them, but I ultimately just got a bunch of Zelda ones and a bunch of other ones I like Metroid and stuff like that. I have like a ton of Zelda. To me, that's the creme de la creme of Nintendo for me, so that's where I'll put my money. Anyways, so what else? I already talked about the MS Sony news with Call of Duty on PS Plus, so hopefully more to come with that as the lawsuit probably kicks off, I would say late Q1 2023. I don't know how the courts move on that type of stuff. Anyways, yeah, no one knows what Kingdom Hearts is about. I enjoyed the first 2 games or 3 games or whatever it was, Birth by Sleep, but I'm still confused. So a few more tidbits of information, partially gaming, but also gaming crossing over into entertainment besides games like movies or TV shows. So Kojima came out recently and did announce Death Stranding 2, which caught a lot of people by surprise, to be honest, because it seems that about 2 months ago, there was a leak of a game he's working on called Overdose, which horrible headline, by the way, when a game goes Kojima's Overdose leaks. Like, think about that phrasing, please. Anyways, a game called Overdose is something he's supposedly working on, and gameplay did leak. Now, I will say, after seeing that gameplay and knowing there's a Death Stranding 2 in the works, I wonder if it was actually that game. But what we do know is that Kojima has been working exclusively with Microsoft on a new game for a while that is supposed to take advantage of cloud technology. Now, when I hear that, I have flashbacks to Crackdown 3 and how disappointing of a game that was and how it never quite came to fruition as they wanted it to. But Kojima always loves to experiment with new technology, and he's on the record saying this next game he's working on exclusively with Microsoft is going to be different, a new game, new universe, doing different things, different type of genre of game that's never been experienced before, which when Kojima says that, I take him seriously, right? I mean, Death Stranding's a game I never thought would exist, and now he's hopefully to do this with an Xbox game. And he's kind of talking about it in a way where it seems like we might get more information at some point in early 2023. He says, I hope to have more information for you soon. So for you Kojima fans that are stuck in Xbox land, have hope. You might be getting a game, at least announced game with a name, coming up soon. Now, I can't imagine with him working on Death Stranding 2, it's going to be a game quite of the same size or caliber, but it might be a game that has as much time to put in, but it could just be a different type of genre altogether, right? So more to come with that. What I will say is alongside this announcement this week, Kojima, you man, he's a interesting character and I appreciate his genius, but they have announced that a Death Stranding movie is in the works as well, which the part that makes me laugh about this announcement is that it is not confirmed that the main actors like Norman Reedus are going to be in the movie version. And the interesting line about this movie, though, and this is from Kojima himself, they're partnering with a company called Hammerstone Studios. And, you know, obviously video games into movies have a bad history. Now, some would say a good history if you look at the original Super Mario Brothers movie. I'm going to take away and just say I enjoy that moment in history, and that's it. But he says, I couldn't be more excited about this new partnership with Hammerstone Studios. This is a pivotal moment for the franchise. I'm really looking forward to collaborating with them and bringing Death Stranding to the big screen. Unlike other big budget tentpole video game adaptations, and this is Libovici, who is, I think, a representative from Hammerstone, he said, this will be something far more intimate and grounded. Our goal is to redefine what a video game adaptation could be when you have creative and artistic freedom. The film will be an authentic Kojima production, and Kojima is a producer on the movie as well. I have hope when I hear something like that. One, Kojima wanted his freedom. He got it from Konami, right? And he's now partnering with someone with his own expectations being defined at this movie, right? It's not like Paramount came up and picked up Halo, you know? Looking at you, Paramount, Halo. Anyways, that show had potential. But this seems to be something they a game like Death Stranding, you could tell in a very unique format, right? It doesn't have to be super sci-fi opera. It could be a very myopic perspective of the game world that you get, but it could still have deep and rich emotion attached to it as well. So it does seem like this is going to be focused on the 2019 game, obviously, the first game. I can't imagine they're making a movie for the second game yet, but that would kind of be weird if you can spoil the second game and watch the movie instead of buying it. That doesn't seem smart, but that's interesting to me. It seems like Kojima's got a lot going on, right? He's got Death Stranding 2, he's got the Death Stranding movie, and he's got this new Xbox project as well, which, as of what we know, is called Overdose. Are you excited about this? Let me know. I mean, I got to go back to Death Stranding. I'll be honest, the director's cut appeals to me, and it does seem like a game I could see myself just wasting a Christmas break day on and just chilling and eating cookies and delivering packages. But we'll find out if I actually get to it. I hope to get to it. So interesting news there. So yeah, Death Stranding game. I mean, Death Stranding movie, new Kojima game, all fun times. And some other interesting news. So God of War TV show with Amazon has been greenlit, and this is a movie under production of Sony's film and entertainment studio. If I could find the exact name real quick. Sony Interactive Entertainment, which was launched in 2019, and the Uncharted movie starring Tom Holland, which was its first release. HBO's The Last of Us TV show, which is coming out January 15th of 2023, so very soon, which does seem to look good. And now this God of War TV show with Amazon. So I find it interesting that they're kind of saying, we'll put our properties on anywhere. Obviously, our studio is going to be in charge of it, but right now you have their shows kind of all over the place. I will say the Uncharted movie was good. It made me want to play the game. It felt like a Marvel movie mixed with Indiana Jones, like an Indiana Jones movie just with tons of sugar in it. So I was entertained by it. This God of War TV show is supposed to follow the 2018 release, so it's going to follow that storyline specifically. That is a storyline that has recently been wrapped up by the Ragnarok sequel, which is sitting on my PlayStation waiting to be played. But God of War TV show, huh? You guys interested? What do you guys think? Cory Barlog, the creative director, does have a hand and input in it, and there are a handful of Santa Monica executive producers playing a role. The TV show itself is being adapted by the showrunner behind the Wheel of Time television show on Amazon, Rafi Judkins, and writers Mark Fergus and Hawk Ostby, which were behind Children of Men, Iron Man, and The Expanse. The Expanse, I know, has been critically acclaimed. I think people were disappointed with the Wheel of Time adaptation. I'll be honest, I tried to read those Wheel of Time books at one point in my life, and then I realized I have 60 years of my life to live. Kidding. They were good. It was just a lot for me to commit to. That happens sometimes with fantasy series. It's like, do I want to do this with all the other books? So I'm excited for that. I mean, I'm always looking for ways to get my wife interested in the games I play, and TV shows are perfect for that. In fact, it goes vice versa. She's a big Harry Potter fan, and the Harry Potter game she wants to play now too. So maybe she'll be playing God of War in a few years. We'll hope for that, right? Recently we all heard about, speaking of other gaming TV shows or TV shows based on games, The Witcher 3 losing Henry, losing Superman, and now with the Black Adam movie coming out and Henry reprising his role as Superman, we now have confirmation that DC is just saying, you know what, nothing we do works. Let's just restart everything. Let's get rid of Henry as Superman. So Henry's no longer Superman either. What's going to happen to Henry? Well, Henry's bounced back. he's now apparently working very closely with Amazon Studios on a Warhammer cinematic universe. That's right. Henry is the type of guy that works out, says Kryptonite, get out of here, and then paints his tabletop figurines for Warhammer all on the same day. That being said, he's apparently a big Warhammer fan, I kid you not, and he's now working closely with them on a breadth of products from TV shows to movies. This has recently been announced as confirmed. It was rumored to be in the works. I know nothing about Warhammer besides the fact that the aesthetics look cool, and I really like Vermintide too. I've heard Darktide is a good game. I haven't had time to even look at it, but I know that's a game that's got a lot of popularity of late, and people are like, what is this Warhammer stuff? I will say Space Marine 2, which was announced at the VGAs the other week, sequel to a game that did pretty well in the mid-early 2010s on the 360 generation of consoles, does look awesome too. So it seems like Warhammer has a lot of lore for people to dig into. It seems like Henry is the type of person that when he cares about something, he wants to make sure that the show properly represents it. Supposedly that's why he left The Witcher, in terms of the writers on the TV show not really caring about the game or the books, which, I see that being a problem. But yeah, so he's now helping out with this. He seems to have something else to really look forward to. I'll watch it. Again, Warhammer's aesthetics are cool enough. It's like, yeah, let's shoot stuff, right? But yeah, I'm curious enough too, because it seems to be a show that has it seems to be a universe that has a lot of social commentary on history and things like that. And that's enough for me to take a look, right? So yeah, God of War TV show, dark, Death Stranding movie, Warhammer cinematic universe launching. All of this comes up with the news is, ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you all, Ash Ketchum is leaving Pokemon. Ash Ketchum and Pikachu will no longer be in the Pokemon anime, will no longer be the face of any Pokemon movie, and may still randomly pop up in a game every once in a while. I never understood that. So this is news that just popped up earlier today, I want to say. The Pokemon Company has confirmed that after January 13th, beginning of January 13th, 11 episodes will be premiering. And in those 11 episodes, it will be the bon voyage, the final run for Ash as the face of the anime show. This is going back to 1997. I mean, this is a long time. For some people, this is really important for them. Some people probably cried. I'm not going to cry because I haven't really watched the show for a while, but it's still a big deal to me. I mean, this is as he's known in the games, Red, right, with his Charizard. Now, what's happening? No, the anime is not going anywhere. And is Ash going away for good? No. I'm sure they're going to have an 11 episode arc where they take you through a lot of stories. They maybe tie up some loose ends, if there are loose ends in Pokemon verse. I'm not sure. But eventually, and this is only in Japan, so we don't know when these shows are going to air in the US. But this does coincide with the fact that, from what I understand, the Pokemon Company always wanted Ash to kind of lose, because they said, hey, it's not about becoming the champion, it's about the journey along the way. Well, again, this is from a show I listened to earlier, Game Mess Mornings. He did finally win. ESPN even announced one point on time that he is now the Pokemon champion. So he finally won, and this is kind of his bon voyage farewell party. They are going to be starting a new anime, though, some point in April in Japan. So again, no timing on when that show comes to the US, but it's going to be based on the Paldea region, and it's going to star two new characters, Liko and Roy. They will be the forefront of the new anime. I do not know if that means moving forward, those will be the characters of every anime. I mean, gosh, getting rid of Ash, I could see them doing a new strategy where they have a new season with the new characters from each game. Who knows? Who knows? But the new show will be completely focused on the Violet and Scarlet universe and Violet and Scarlet Pokemon. There's some clippets out there on the interweb about I saw my boy Fuecoco. He was hungry. He relates to me very much so. So yeah, I mean, this is probably sad. He's not dying though. He's maybe gonna finally turn 11 or 12. I don't know. He's perpetually 10, right? Who knows? That is a person that's seen a lot in 1 year. That's all I'll say. A lot of holidays celebrated too, and no one's ever questioning that, right? There's been how many holiday specials? Come on. Yeah, he finally caught them all. So yeah, Ash is leaving. 11 final episodes. So I'm sure you'll hear about this more come 2023. And I'll be honest, I'm curious now. I might go back and check it out. I thought he won the Pokemon League by now, to tell you the truth. But it's one of those things where I've played the games, but when it comes to the TV show, I didn't really enjoy since I was a kid. I do watch the movies though, just because I'm like, what's this one doing? What's Lucario up to? Well, yeah. It's kind of where I still engage with the anime when I do. But yeah, interesting news there. So that's it for the gaming news for this week. It's kind of an exciting one. I'm not quite sure yet what's going to happen for next week. There is a family get together next Friday, so I might do this Thursday. That's what I'll be shooting for. I'll let everyone know in the Discord again. If you're not in the Discord, that is discord.gg/joyfulsarcade. Please go ahead and join. I will be announcing the winners of the holiday giveaway at the end of this episode, but I do want to take a small turn to talk about games I'm playing this week. A lot of games came out on Game Pass. I think the most notable games to come out this week, though, on Game Pass, High on Life. I think that's by the creative mind of Justin Roiland. So also working on shows like Rick and Morty with Dan Harmon. Interesting there. I think the game is reviewing okay. I don't think people are really blown away by the gameplay. I think what people are enjoying about the game is, if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, you're going to be a fan of this game. I've seen some clips where they talk about Kotaku and other game communities that review games as like, hey, why did we do this, Kotaku? You should knock us down a few points. I like that self-referential comedy. I thought that was funny. It's probably the perfect game for Game Pass because you can try it right now without any harm to your pocketbook that you're not already inflicting on a monthly basis. Unless you forgot about that, then maybe you should go cancel your Game Pass subscription. So that came out. Haven't had time to take a look. I might play that with my wife watching because, selfishly, or that's not the right word. Embarrassingly, we liked Rick and Morty. I will say we haven't watched it in a long time, and I think we're both bigger fans of Community, which is just a Dan Harmon project, separate from Justin, and I really haven't watched anything else Justin has done on his own, but yeah, we might check it out. So that came out. I have been playing Miles Morales, so I bought a PS5 2 weeks ago. I've had very little time to play it. Work's been crazy. That being said, I know I talked about this briefly. Miles Morales is the game I've played the most on it so far, and man, is that game just chef's kiss, right? Web slinging's just perfect in those games. I love the Christmas setting. I didn't expect that when I turned it on. It's now a game I hope to one day visit again on Christmas. That'd be a lot of fun. The story's interesting. It's kind of predictable at times to a degree. But that's only after certain key points are intentionally revealed, right? I love the character development. I also like that it's a small game, right? I can tell it's a small game. I can tell that it's getting to a point where it's going to wrap up just by the beats in it. But they definitely have streamlined certain things from the PS4 Spider-Man game, just in terms of types of missions and how side quests work and all of that. I like all of that. I'm glad they're taking learnings. I am especially glad it's small because, quite honestly, as much as I love this game, I would really be concerned if a game like this came out every year because I feel like the appeal to it personally could, wear itself out. And with Spider-Man 2 coming out in 2023, in the fall of 2023, I'm glad I'm getting to this game now. And then I'll have a nice long break before I touch another game like it because I want to enjoy my symbiote madness when Spider-Man 2 comes out. So it's a lot of fun. I really like Miles Morales. I love his power-ups. I love everything about the character itself. Again, the idea of just a guy helping out the community. I mean, that's what Peter Parker's all about too, obviously, but the game just works. So if you haven't checked it out, I know it is on PC as well now. They came out with a remastered version. Ray tracing if you want it, but that's also in the PS5 version, I imagine, as well. I think it is. Yeah, they have a lot of different game modes. So been playing that. And the other game that came out this week, Miles Morales is not one of them. Miles Morales came out a while ago. But the other game that came out this week, we're talking about Final Fantasy earlier, Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion. So I have to level set with everyone. When it comes to Final Fantasy 15 is the game that I first played, completely beat, loved. When I was a kid, I played those Final Fantasy adventure games on Game Boy because I was like, ooh, it's the Final Fantasy game that plays like Zelda. I'll like it. But as I went through in the beginning, turn-based games weren't my thing, unless it was Pokemon, right? Props to Pokemon for getting a generation of people to like RPGs, first off. Now I'll get away from that. So when Final Fantasy VII, the remake, was coming out, I thought, I like 15. This game looks more of 15, but better. But maybe I should play 7 first. And I played a lot of 7. I probably put like 15 hours into 7 on my Switch. The problem with that is I stopped one day, and then I didn't pick it back up. And then when I went to pick it back up, I was like, where do I go? So I still want to finish that. 7 integrated, the PS5 remake version of 7 comes on the PS Plus subscription service. So I have it installed. But I thought, okay, before I play the remake of 7, maybe one day I'll finish the original one, which I am enjoying the story. I think the world's interesting. I think the points are interesting. There's all these characters that reference these important philosophers. And when you look into the philosophers, they have important frames of thought that kind of apply to the world they're talking about too. So I appreciate that a lot about what Final Fantasy VII is doing. Crisis Core Reunion, though, is a remake of Crisis Core, which was a prequel to 7, originally exclusive on the PSP. And it played a lot like Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, where it was an action RPG. This feels very much like a love letter, from what I can tell, to that original game. Upgraded in terms of visuals, obviously quality of life improvements to game mechanics itself, but it's still very much that PSP action RPG. So it's not like a game where you're completely experiencing Crisis Core in a different way. And I could tell this as someone who hasn't played the original, because of the choices the game gives to you in terms of how you experience it. Like, I could tell you that's a very, very much a early 2000 PlayStation Portable type of game design. I'm still having a lot of fun with it. And I think that's a credit to the Final Fantasy VII lore and world. Like, there are characters like Sephiroth who you're getting a different perspective on. Getting a different perspective on the Shinra company and all that, which, again, Sephiroth is a major deal. If you like Kingdom Hearts, you've played against Sephiroth, maybe, if you were crazy enough to go max out on the Colosseum and try to beat Hercules. And no, I didn't care about the Platinums enough to do that. But I know he's there. He's in Smash Brothers for a reason. He's a big deal in Smash Brothers for a reason. So it's interesting enough. And again, 7, in my opinion, it's got its legacy for a reason. So I'm enjoying it quite a bit, to be honest with you. The combat is fun. It's different. There's like a weird slot machine aspect to it when it comes to certain types of specials and summons that you get to use in different ways in other games. But I like how it works now. And there's definitely an aspect of it that is, allows yourself to like, hey, I want to avoid just progressing on the main story right now. I'm just going to do a bunch of side stuff. It does that in a way that works, right? So I think it's a game, if you were curious about it, if you played the original and you love the original, you'll definitely like this game for sure. If you're curious about it and you like the 7 remake, I would say maybe wait to find the game on sale. You'll probably be able to get a good discount on it at some point. I was able to use my GameStop points and got it for $19, so pretty excited about that. It's a great deal for $19. It's a deal you probably won't see on MSRPs for quite a while. So yeah, check it out if you're interested, but it is definitely a game that I think you're going to love if you've played the original and if you like Final Fantasy at all as well. So yeah, let me know. Are you going to check it out? Let me know your thoughts below. Let me know your thoughts below about anything you're playing, anything you felt like I missed, I need to be checking out. What has Mark missed out on is the big question most people ask me every day. Like, what have I just forgotten about? Which, it makes sense. I mean, look at me. So I will say that's all I had for this week's Game Bites. Obviously, some announcements to make. One being, I'm hoping to have a pretty exciting guest for you guys. I'm not going to say anything about it, but I'm hoping to have a guest for you guys within the next few months or so that is an insider within the gaming space who works on games, not indie games like Little and me, but who works on big games that you know about and who would have a lot of interesting perspective to talk about. So I'm hoping to confirm that date soon. And once I do, I will communicate that out to everyone to give you some more context on that, but I'll be hush on that until then. And last but not least, drum roll, the winners of the holiday 2022-2023 game giveaway. So just so everyone knows, I try to do a giveaway every month as a part of this community. This giveaway that we've been running since last month into this month today, December 16th, was 3 winners will get a copy of either Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion or Marvel Midnight Suns on the platform of your choice. I've drawn those winners. I'm about to announce them. I will say, stay tuned to the Discord, stay tuned to the social media, stay tuned to the show itself to see what we're doing for next month. Haven't determined that quite yet, but that news will get out there soon. Before I do the announcement though, January 7th, Friday, I think it's 5 p.m. Do you like Smash Brothers Ultimate? Do you like fighting people? Do you like getting money to beat people and make them cry? You might be interested in the Joyful Cup, the 2023 Joyful Cup, to say that we are having a tournament. First prize winners get $100. You can win $50 if you're second place, $25 if you're third place. No fee to enter. Defining the rules still, probably going to follow standard high school college rules for esports on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But again, join the Discord. Again, that's discord.gg/Joyful's Arcade. I'll have the information at the bottom of the video and in the podcast if you're listening on podcast format as well. Join the Discord, ask to sign up, we'll get you registered. I think as of right now, there's probably over 10, 15 people, so it's going to be an all-day event. I'll be joined by my friend, Coach Helen Pauls, as we do shoutcasting over the competitive people involved. We do have, I think, a pro in the tournament as well, which, you know, just putting that out there. Don't be discouraged. Just hope you don't go up against them, right? Just hope you don't go up against them. That's January 7th, so that's one chance to win some awesome prizes as a part of this community. Again, the game giveaway for next year, next month, will be announced in a few days as I figure that out. I'll probably do a poll internally on the Discord to see what people want to give away. But last but not least, the winners of the Holiday 2022-2023 giveaway. 3 winners have been drawn. Who are those winners? I have them right in front of me. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? First off, there was over 22,000 entries in this last giveaway. That blows my mind. Thank you everyone who's entered and participated. 22,000 entries. That's a lot of people. I don't know that many people. Now, obviously, one person can have multiple entries as each action within the entry form gets you multiple entries. Still, that is a lot of people entering a lot of times. But the number one winner, so position number one, I mean, everyone wins the same prize here. Entry number 10,763, Helen Sherpa at Grunge Getaway, or the, I can't give away the name. I will contact you, Helen, if you're watching. Thank you. Congratulations. If you're not watching or listening, congratulations either way. I will reach out to you all and get you your prizes within the next 7 days as based on the guidelines of the contest. So Helen, congratulations. The second winner, Nicholas Camel. Thank you, thank you. It was your Instagram entry that actually got you the winning draw there. Gotta think about those Instagram entries, right? Right. And last but not least, the entry, Jake Tizzle. Jake Tizzle. It's a fun name. Jake, congratulations for winning. You also won, and it was your entry for checking out the Game Bites podcast, available on Apple and Spotify, wherever a podcast are commonly enjoyed. Thank you for doing that as well. Those are our 3 winners again, Helen, Nicholas, and Jake. If you're here, congratulations. If you're not here, congratulations. Anyway, I will be contacting you within the next few days about getting you your prize winnings, and I will be announcing winners in the widget right now. Doing that, boom. Winners are going to be announced on the contest form itself. That's it. That is the Game Bites episode for December 16th, 2022. Thank you for that, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, next week episode might be Thursday. I'll get more information on that as we get closer to next week. I mean, that's only a few days away, but more information will come. And I will say this, I'm hoping to do some streaming in general aside from Game Bites over the holiday break. I don't want to promise anything extravagant. I want to be level-headed because I'll be honest, I have to work over the break. C'est la vie, my friends, my mon ami. But I want to be out there a little bit more too. So all of you, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying. I see everyone in the chat here. Border King, Yugen, Tommy, Trevor, Cynic, I know that's you. Prout. Miss you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Please like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new here. Leave your comments on what you're looking forward to. And God bless. I will catch you all later.